Hi, I'm sci-fi and fantasy author Michael LaVoice, aka LaVoice in Your Head. And I'm fit to talk nerdy with you. I want to talk this week about monster movies, specifically Godzilla. King Kong a little bit, but mostly Godzilla. Mainly because I didn't realize how much I missed Godzilla until he came back. And like most American kids, my typical viewing diet consisted of Saturday morning and afternoon cartoons, The Three Stooges, the odd alien invasion film, and monster movies, creature features. I loved me some Godzilla growing up, okay? Classic stuff like The Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein, those kinds of movies. I dug those. Creature features were a thing. I'm not a fan of modern horror films. I don't like films that feature the supernatural and demonic activity, and I'm not crazy about slasher flicks. But give me a good old creature feature, and I will bring the popcorn. Love them to death. Godzilla versus the Smog Monster? I'm there for it. Taking on Rodan? Absolutely. Let's do it. I think this might have had something to do with me becoming a mecha fan later on in life, and then eventually a Battletech nerd. Probably influenced it quite a bit. This is why I got so excited when Pacific Rim came out. I mean, kaiju versus giant mecha? Bonus, baby. Let's go. Now, this reminds me of a movie I saw and took one of my kids to back in the 90s when they tried to reboot the Godzilla films as a franchise. They gave him a completely new origin story. Well, not completely new, but they still had a radioactive iguana become Godzilla as a result of nuclear testing. That was still part of it. But I think the biggest problem I had with this was they just had him swim and randomly attack New York City. And we're talking about the movie that starred Matthew Broderick and Hank Azaria. Now, these guys turned in solid performances. The cast was okay. But my biggest problem with it was they kind of made Godzilla a generic creature of the week looking dude. He didn't have any of the classic connections to the old monster movies, and it was a little bit disappointing. I mean, yeah, my kid got into it and he cried when Godzilla died at the end of that one. And then he got happy when he saw the eggs were still there, and that meant there might be future films. And that was kind of it. I was disappointed though in the movie because it didn't really pay any homage to the lore per se of the classic films. And so I kind of forgot about the King of Monsters for a while. And then I heard about a new Godzilla movie in 2014. But since I've been so disappointed with the reboot, I kind of ignored that too. Then I heard about Godzilla versus Kong. All right, I'm there for that. Let's see what they do with it. My wife and I watched it, and it was a decent monster flick. Had some great fights, had some good stuff. I liked it. It was obvious, though, that we had missed something. Okay. There was a previous film. So we went back and watched the 2014 Godzilla movie, and that kind of filled in some of the blanks and brought me up to speed. Now, I'd always liked the idea of Godzilla being a monster, but he was our monster, right? He was on our side. He was taking on monsters, fighting them off for us, kind of saving humanity from the monsters. Now, I never got a chance to check out the Monarch Legacy of Monsters on Apple TV show. I never got a chance to look at that. Maybe I will someday, and we'll talk about that in the future. But we did get to see Godzilla X Kong New Empire, and that was pretty cool. It was a nice full circle moment for the new Godzilla movies. But I have to say that the Godzilla movie that I enjoyed the most out of all the recent ones was Godzilla Minus One. The title didn't and still doesn't make sense to me. I don't get what Minus One is all about, but it was Godzilla, and it was classic Godzilla. The fact that it was set in post-World War II Japan was intriguing. The fact that this film was written in a way that made me care about the characters, the human characters, that is, in the first 10 minutes of the film, was a huge improvement over the other more recent films that were done by Americans. And not only did it do that, but it brought back some of the majesty that some of the recent American films seem to have taken away from Godzilla a little bit. I await future installments of this film series with great anticipation. I hope they do more. I'd like to see more of the King of Monsters now that he's back. What was your favorite monster movie growing up? What's your favorite monster movie now? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if this video made you smile, gave you a a hint of nostalgia, or even made you think, Godzilla? Yeah. Give it a like and a share, and I'll see you next time when I get to be LaVoice in your head.